So a very good morning to everybody. My name is Martin Garratt and I'm the Chief Executive of Cambridge Cleantech. And a warm welcome, excuse me, to this Climate Action 2021 event on clean water and sanitation, which is SDG, or Sustainable Development Goal 6 of the United Nations SDGs. So delighted to see so many people joining us this morning. What I'll do first of all is just go through a few housekeeping details, then mention one or two activities that we are undertaking as Cambridge Cleantech in support of the sustainability sector and our members in particular. And then we're going to look at the actual today's event and start to hear from the speakers. So one or two points to begin with on housekeeping. Please could you remain muted? But if you do have a question, we're pleased to hear from you. Could you type it in the chat box? And I will either raise that if it's a pressing question with the presenter as we go through the agenda, or if not, I can leave it until we have the panel session and the Q&A at the end of the presentation. So thank you in anticipation for that. Please also note that we will be recording this session as well. So it will be available on our website from tomorrow onwards. So you all have to behave yourselves basically, and so do we. And finally, I'm just going to hand over to Oriane at the end of the session because she's going to mention how we can break out into the coffee rooms, as we call them. I think we're going to have a coffee room for each of the innovation speakers. So you'll hear more about that from Oriane as we get towards the end of the session. So that's just a few points on housekeeping. Just a little bit of a reminder about what we're doing at Cambridge Cleantech. We're always very keen to support our members in terms of their priorities. So access to finance is always very important for our cleantech innovators. You can see there on the left of the screen, we've got two upcoming sort of special interest group events on finance in relation to grant funding and Series A funding for startups as well. They're coming up in the next few days. And then next month, at the end of March, 25th of March, we have a Cleantech Venture Day. We've actually been appointed by the UK Government Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office to support a cohort of 24 cleantech companies, highly innovative cleantech companies from India and the UK, 16 from India, 8 from the UK. And we're supporting those with access to finance in particular, and that will culminate in that Cleantech Venture Day on the 25th of March. 6 of those 24 companies will present, and there'll be another 14 spaces open to competition for other innovators to pitch to a room full of investors. So do book your place on that if you need funding for your company. The other area of support that we provide for members, which they tell us is important, is in relation to contract opportunities. And if you just take a look at the events page on our website, you'll see we have 2 corporates that are looking for innovations at the moment. Deutsche Telekom, one of our founder members, is looking for innovations in terms of energy generation and management. They're the second highest user of energy in Germany already. And with 5G, obviously there could be issues about an explosion in energy usage. They're looking for solutions. If you think you can help, do please respond to them via ourselves. And then Tim Electronic, a company from Northwest Europe, is looking for cloud-based systems to support its offshore renewable energy wind turbines. So do take a look at those. If you think you can provide solutions, do get back to us. So I just wanted to mention those in terms of the general support we provide for our members. But moving on now to what you're really here to listen to today is the range of presentations from our partners in relation to this SDG 6 on clean water and sanitation. Just a bit of context in terms of the programme for the year. We're working with our associate founder member, the cheeky Panda company, who you're going to hear from shortly. And we're going to be undertaking a range of events in relation to how our innovative members help to achieve the targets in the Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations has produced. And so we're starting with SDG 6 on water, but watch this space for a further series of events throughout the year. And we're also doing this in association, of course, with our partner and sister organisation, Oxfordshire Green Tech. So that's just a bit of context and a bit of background from me. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is hand over to Chris Forbes, who is the Chief Executive of Cheeky Panda. Chris, over to you, and may I say also thank you very much for your support for this programme.
Thanks everyone. So I'm going to do a quick presentation for you all. Okay, hopefully you can all see my screen. So, I mean, as you know, in sort of September 2015, the heads of state, the heads of government, senior UN officials looked at, what's going to make the world a better place and how can we work across, different parts of society and the environment to create a better world. And these were the SDGs. And then, but it's very hard to sort of look at it as one. So, and even a lot of professionals really struggle to, know exactly what all the 17 SDGs are. And then only sort of 1 in 100 actually knows, them very well. And like, different SDGs are going to be relevant for different companies. And when we sort of looked at, the SDGs, we sort of thought, well, actually, we touch on, as a bamboo manufacturer, as a B Corp, as a socially responsible organization, we had a number of partnerships that actually already had alignment to, the social development goals, where it was economic, human needs, sustainable resources, universal values. And we thought, well, actually, how do we then sort of bring that out in a bit more detail? So, people generally understand 3 things. So we decided to break it down into earth, ocean, people. And this is a little video that we did about explaining how we think about it within our company.
Earth, ocean, people is actually an idea come up by one of our team members, focus on 3 charities, and we can split our entire company into 3 teams.
Our team is supporting the Worldland Trust. Trees are so important to the world's ecosystem, and we want to be able to raise more money for them to be able to plant more trees going into 2021.
Because these carbon projects are long-term projects, what we want to do is build relationships with companies like Cheeky Panda, because then we know that those funds are there to allow that project to continue.
The ocean team has decided to support the whale and dolphin conservation. At the moment, only a tiny percentage of the oceans is protected, and we want to help the whale and dolphin conservation push that to at least 30%.
They all face threats like plastic pollution, noise pollution, fishing gear, climate change and other man-made problems, so creating a safe environment for whales and dolphins is key to ensuring that they continue to survive.
Team People chose to work with toilet twinning. 1 in 3 people do not have a safe place to go, and we want to work with them to help reduce this number. In 2021, we aim to twin 100 toilets as Team People.
People that have been building toilets will be telling their neighbours about the improvements in their health, about the fact that their kids are now in school, that they're growing because they're working their land, they're growing food to eat and to sell at market.
If we can support all aspects of the ecosystem and life below water and life on land and live in harmony with it, then the world becomes a better place. Okay, hang on, I'll just try to get. So that brings us to today's subject, which is clean water and sanitation. So as Emily in the video have mentioned, we work with a company called Toilet Twinning, and 2 billion people on the planet don't have somewhere safe to go for the toilet, and without proper sanitation, it's a vicious cycle. It means that more relations to diseases. It means that illness means that you can't work. It means you've got to spend more on medicine. It means that you might not be able to get the same education. It can also lead to issues with when puberty arrives, and privacy, and clean water really helps with that. So we sort of looked at what can we as a company do to try to make it better for people that don't have clean sanitation. So we work with this company, Toilet Twinning, and we have a number of events that we plan for the year. And the first one that we're doing is our own toilet that we twinned last year is in Uganda. So we thought, well, actually, wouldn't it be fun if we could have an event whereby all our team members can walk, cycle, or run the same distance as what it would be to our toilet in Uganda. So that's actually a significant distance. It's about 6,352 kilometers, and we're 32 days into the challenge. And there's a little map of where we are right now, just coming down into Tunisia. So it's really sort of a tangible thing that that we've put together as a company, that for every 100 kilometers that we hit, we donate some money to the toilet twinning. And as part of it, what we're looking to do with our corporates that we work with, that every time that they choose to work with Cheeky Panda toilets, supply Cheeky Panda products in their toilets, is that we twin a toilet with them. So then that creates, a clear link between, how they're approaching SDG 6 and how they're working for partner organization, and also the sort of the net benefit to it. And I think that's one of the things that we're trying to do as a sort of an organization, is trying to sort of look at, all the different SDGs and where can we actually have measurable impact. And I think that's one of the things that I've always struggled with, is that, people talk about reports, people talk about metrics, but you're like, what's the results? What's the achievement on it? And when you can actually say, right, we've built a toilet, or, we've donated this much cash and this much cash is going to help the environment, then you can actually see yourself making a significant difference. So that's a little bit about how Cheeky Panda view the SDGs. Happy to talk about it in the breakout rooms, and I will pass it on to the next presenter.
Okay, Chris, thank you very much indeed for that. You're absolutely right. That was a terrific overview on how a private business actually considers its impact and tries to respond to that in a positive way that has a great impact on society. So thank you very much for that. Now, as you say, let's move on to our next speaker, who is Anna Soares, who's the Professor of Biotechnology Engineering, and also she's the lead of the Cranfield Grand Challenge in Green Technologies. So over to you, Anna, to provide that academic context on the issues around water across the globe at the moment. Thank you. Are you with us, Anna? Are you unmuted?
Yes, sorry. I started sharing my screen before I muted. So yeah, hope you can see my screen. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay.
And we can hear you as well. Thank you.
So yeah, thank you so much for the invitation to come here today to this forum, which I think you have a really good agenda. So as Martin is saying, I'm a professor of biotechnology engineering. I'm specialized in environmental water protection and resource recovery at Cranfield University. And I work with municipal as well as industrial wastewater treatment, management, sort of proposing new technologies, economic feasible solutions, so we can produce high quality effluent, so we can protect the environment. And at the same time, see if there's anything else we can gain from it, just not protecting the environment. And I'd like to just start with a little bit of an overview about what we have to deal with in relation to water treatment, and just be very clear that, depending on where we are in the world, the needs are very different. And, Chris mentioned this before for sort of more developing countries, but I think we should not underestimate also the challenges that we have in European and developed countries. And, the needs around water services, existing or non-existing infrastructure, clean water, sanitation, are not the same for all. So we need to be very aware of the local needs, realities, and propose solutions that make sense. They need to be adapted to local legislation with sort of what already exists on the ground, public demand. Public perception is very important, that we sometimes underestimate massively. There's cultural and society aspect that that we need to consider when proposing solutions and technologies. And of course, we need to manage the water cycle for that specific region. Once again, there's no two things that are the same. And so you can see here, sort of, there's a huge diversity on ways we can deal with water, sort of a centralized or decentralized level. We can have mega cities with millions of inhabitants, and we see a lot of those cities. I think Jessica later probably will touch on this as well. And we have small communities, and we need to make sure we address issues from all of them. So one of the key things that is currently driving innovation, development of implementation of and change within the water industry are the net zero targets. And of course, you know, people have been mentioning the Sustainable Development Goals as well. And the net zero targets, they are applied to every industry, including the water industry, of course. And this is aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions. You know, we just have a couple of decades to achieve very ambitious plans, which is to reduce emissions by 100% by 2050 relative to the levels of 1990. And the targets are really ambitious, and you know, they are also aligned with other things like the green recovery and other sort of principles such as the circular economy. And so when we put together sort of the wish list of what technologies need to have to be implemented by the water industry, and this once again can be centralized on decentralized systems, so this will apply to different scenarios and local needs. You can see here that this list is huge. You know, we want processes that are sustainable, they are future-proof. You know, there has been some disruption, for example, with chemical supplies around chemicals that, you know, the water industry needs. So if there's an existing infrastructure, we want processes that can be retrofitted easily. They are simple to operate. Of course, they have low capital and operational costs. And most importantly, you know, they have to allow for 100% compliance. So we need to produce top quality water and wastewater to be discharged. And it's quite a wish list, as I was mentioning. And a few decades ago, sort of there was this huge paradigm shift in the water sector where especially wastewater treatment plants and facilities were being proposed as the resource recovery and water recycling centers. And, you know, these ideas are not necessarily new, but I think what happened there was quite magical a couple of decades ago was that there was just a general acceptance of this reality. So people from all over the world, coming from academia, industry, consultancy, were actively pushing for this sort of very similar concept and sort of giving a wider acceptance to these ideas. And we have seen a boom of new processes and technologies to recover resources from wastewater. So the most important resource is of course water, and water reuse is a big component of this. But we also see you know, enhanced biogas recovery, nutrients for producing fertilizers. There's a lot of processes that are being implemented that look at cellulose recovery. The cellulose can be used for composites and for various industries, for construction building industries, for example. We can recover metals, organic acids, some polymers that have gelling-like properties, so a wide use of applications. And so sort of it's very exciting times for the wastewater sector and industry. And this of course aligns with the circular economy, where we try to battle that linear supply chain that we currently still trapped in, and ensure that we allow for that recovery, recycling, reuse, and we can use those sort of different aspects of the cycle within a single industry, which makes things easier. But we can also try to cross-pollinate and work with multidisciplinary teams. And of course, this will lead into economic growth, creating new jobs, and increased competitiveness of industries, which I think is very aligned with what's happening on this webinar today. And one of the technologies or processes that have been booming that I think it's important just to mention as an example are the technologies for phosphorus removal. So historically, there was just two processes being implemented, so chemical dosing and biological processes, sort of called a BNR process. And we now start to see sort of a huge diversification of processes. that target phosphorus removal to very low concentration, so we can still be within the required legislation, the requirements from legislation. But on the other side, we see these technologies are now focused on phosphorus recovery. So phosphorus is a limiting nutrient worldwide. It's mined, so it has many disadvantages. It's not very sustainable. And we see that, the way the industry is moving, and phosphorus is a big part of the debate. Water reuse in the UK is just sort of takes, once again, different shapes in different parts of the country, usually is not widely implemented. So other places like Singapore, Australia, they're sort of currently leading water reuse implementation. But we start to see pockets of innovation coming up to the UK. So, for example, I'm working with Severn Trent Water in a project called NextGen, funded by Horizon 2020 European project, and where we, treating the wastewater anaerobically, we producing biogas, so an energy source from this, and through the action of a combination of biological and physical processes, we're producing an effluent that can be reused for fertigation. So still rich in nutrients, but with no pathogens and very low pollutants concentration. Where water reuse in the UK is taking a more of an effective form is linked with industrial applications. So you can see here on this pie chart, water use in the UK is dominated by industrial uses, so around 75.4% of water used by industry, with only just 22% being for domestic applications. And so we need to work closely with industries to try to reduce that water that it's used, try to recycle it, and there's many advantages of any given industry to do this, including reducing costs, improving production capacities, etc. So,
just 1 minute, please, Anna. Thank you.
Okay, almost done. Thank you. In the centralized systems part, so this is of relevance not only for developing countries. We see a lot of these initiatives happening in Europe, across Europe, where buildings and communities are looking into sort of closing the water cycle within their local, with their house or their block of flats. And so a lot of technology development happening there, and initiatives such as Reinvent the Toilet Challenge from the Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation are definitely sort of boosting some of the technologies developments on this. So this is the toilet that Cranfield is currently developing, and we are stage 3, and there's a few units already deployed in Africa. And so lots of things happening, and in terms of future perspectives, yeah, I think anything that we see coming in the future, will have that huge influence by the ambition to reduce carbon emissions with rigorous regulations and promoting water reuse. So quite a lot of work in front of us and a lot of change still needed. And just want to finish off by sort of a little bit of publicity to our own event I'm organizing related with the Green Technologies Grand Challenge I'm organizing at Cranfield. So we delivering this virtual exhibition on the 3rd of March, and you're very welcome to attend. Thank you, Martin.
Anna, thank you very much indeed. That was a terrific overview from an academic perspective, but also some real-life case studies as well. So I think that always brings the presentation to life. So thank you very much for that. Right, let's keep moving on. We now have 5 by 5 minutes in terms of our innovators who are going to do elevator pitches, and they're going to demonstrate some of the fantastic solutions that they're bringing to the market to help achieve some of those targets that we've heard about in those first 2 presentations. So in a second, I'm going to hand over to Jessica Ocampos, who's a director at Camnexus, and who's going to tell us about the challenges, the water challenges in Latin American companies. But I just wanted, just whilst you're sorting yourself out and putting your screen up, Jessica, I'm just going to mention a couple of things. Anglian Water are one of our founder members, and they have their Water Innovation Network, and we've got Laura with us today from that organisation. So do have a chat with her if you're interested in how they seek innovations as they go about their business of water supply in the east of England, water treatment as well, of course. And we've also got a team with us from another university, Anglia Ruskin University. There's a project that a team are taking forward called Future by Design, which helps with your data management, regardless of whatever sector you're in, and they're available on the call as well. Right, just while we've been doing that, I see that Jessica's got herself sorted out. So strict 5 minutes, Jessica, over to you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Martin. Well, I am Jessica Ocampos, founder and director of Camnexus. Camnexus is developing end-to-end IoT solutions, Internet of Things solutions for efficient water management in particular. I just wanted to start with a quick introduction of myself, because it's about the journey and the reason behind of this. I come from Chile, in the north, in one of the driest places on the world. Actually, I have seen firsthand the level of a scarcity of water. That is where actually my parents were born. I was born not so far from there, in a city that actually is not existing anymore. Because many times, and particularly in developing countries, we have had a matrix of production based on extractivism and not necessarily looking into the development of the local innovation capability. So cannot you imagine living in such a condition? That is exactly what we are here and what I am working in this project with Camnexus. I know how inventive people can be if we use the right resources and capability. And that is how we founded Camnexus, with an aim to basically develop IoT solutions, build more innovation capability that can enable productive sectors to efficiently manage their key resources in order to make a positive impact on the planet and on the people in a sustainable way. We're working closely, particularly in the water sector, in the SDGs 6, and also in the 9 and 12. We are a team of experienced people based in Cambridge. We started 2 PhD of the University of Cambridge, and we are working particularly in supporting digitalization and intelligent transformation with in-house development capability and expert consultancy. Our team has, based in Cambridge, has a presence, however, in Europe, Latin America, and in Africa. Our solution is basically aiming at making more accessible and inclusive technology that we have seen and maybe used in other areas, but using also cutting edge technology that can make data have sense at the end user. So we are working in an end-to-end IoT water management system that integrates different telecom systems, for example, low power technologies and sensors that can provide in real-time alert to the end user. Particularly, we have focused in 2 areas, in the water utility sector and also in the agriculture sector for the water space. With that, we're helping reducing maintenance costs and water losses, which we know that at the global level, particularly in the supply network, we have losses of the average of 34%. Actually, just we were discussing that in our previous presentation. This is just an overview of the solution. We have developed IoT sensors and gateways that, with the advent of new telecom communication systems, we are also developing in our roadmap ways to use other systems like narrowband IoT and 5G. Actually, we're also part of one of the testbed process that are happening in the UK and in Latin America. The important thing is the end. We need people to have the real-time information so that they can act in time. This is data with sense. We need to make sense, and it has to be contextualized to their need. That is why in last year we were working, even amid COVID-19, we were able to deliver a project with Brazil using an Innovate UK grant that we were awarded in the Demonstrate Impact GCRF. And working with partners in Brazil, we were able to develop a system to monitor in real time the water quality for irrigation of small farm producers in Brazil.
1 minute, please, Jessica.
Yes. Using a human-centered design approach, working with all the safety measurements, we were able to deliver the right product to them We were here in Cambridge. This is our team, people in France, in Italy, and in the UK. And we are now working in this, basically this is inclusive, innovative, accessible approach that can make adopting the UN Sustainable Development Goals using a human-centered design approach. We can make that innovation is not just about technology, but it is about people. And you can be part of this. So thanks so much. I invite you to speak with me after this in the breakout rooms, and hopefully you enjoy and join to our passion to innovate with data with integrity.
Jessica, fantastic. Nigel, do you want to start sharing your screen, and I'll introduce you in a second. Jessica, fantastic. You get bonus points for covering 3 SDGs.
Yes.
Well, I have to say you actually get a half a point deducted, I'm afraid, because you've got the old Cambridge Cleantech logo. That's the new one behind me. But no, don't worry. I'm sure it's our fault. Oriane will send you the new logo, so you're Great. Up to date. Okay, I just noticed that. But terrific, thank you. So now let's move on. Let's keep things moving. We have 5 minutes for Nigel Bamford, who's the director at Waterblade, who's going to tell us all about saving water and also saving money. Nigel.
Thank you very much, Martin. And thank you very much for Cambridge Cleantech for inviting me to present today. I have a slight technical issue in that I'm not sure how to advance my slides.
Have you got it? Yeah.
Okay, I've got it. Okay, I'm there. So I'm Nigel Bamford. I'm the director, but also the inventor of the Waterblade, which is a reasonably unique water-saving device for taps. It came about from me getting a genuine awareness of just how scarce a commodity clean water is. And not just elsewhere in the world, but here in the UK, half of our water utility areas are extremely water stressed. And where we're based in Brighton, our water utility, Southern Water, are actually in the process of building a desalination plant, which is the kind of energy intensive water production you would associate with extreme water scarcity. That combined with maybe a bit of inspiration from Dyson's Waterblade, Airblade, sorry, who they released a hand dryer that worked much more efficiently than previous hand dryers by spreading the airflow out, gave us the inspiration for the Waterblade. We've used the surface tension of the water to spread a very small flow into a sheet, which is really efficient for washing and rinsing, but uses dramatically less water than other options. It's easily fitted to most mixer taps. It also, as well as water saving, contributes to energy savings, obviously in the embodied energy in the water, especially if it's been desalinated, but also we use significant amounts of energy to heat that water. For give you some idea of, for comparison, at about 2 litres a minute, Waterblade operates on a similar flow rate, 2 litres a minute, to a spray tap. But we believe that the Waterblade performs considerably better at that flow rate than a spray tap, and we have a kind of growing level of evidence and endorsement to support that. We've previously won the top UK innovation and water industry awards, and some from overseas as well. And our new product, which has been available for 2 years now, is saving water for a wide range of clients. And these clients haven't just kind of fitted it to one washroom, which would be a great endorsement, or one building. Most of the clients you see here are in a process of still rolling it out to multiple sites. Unilever, we've fitted to in excess of 10 sites in the UK and across Europe. Microsoft in excess of 15 sites, and we still get inquiries and further orders.
1 minute, please, Nigel.
Okay. Standard Chartered Bank, for example, we fitted it to their offices in London, and now we fitted it to premises for them in Gaborone, in Accra, which is in Ghana, in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Bahrain, and a number of other places where we are now saving them significant amounts of water on an ongoing basis. We're quality manufactured in the UK and to a high level of environmental standard too, which is the ISO 14001, RAS approved, Watermark approved, and we have other approvals too. And we're very proud now to be saving significant amounts of water for people and organisations in the UK and further afield. Thank you very much, Martin.
Nigel, first rate, thank you. A real contrast with the first two presentations, one all to do with IoT, another one to do with the practical thing you fit to the tap, but both excellent in terms of helping to reach some of those targets. So let's keep moving. And next up for her 5 minutes is Francesca O'Hanlon, who's the founder of BlueTap and who's going to talk to us about water quality in Africa. Francesca, over to you.
Yeah, hi everybody. So I'm Francesca O'Hanlon. I'm the CEO and founder of BlueTap. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the problems that we're working on. So we work in the chlorination sector, and chlorination in sort of emerging economies and low-income economies is a really, really affordable way to treat water, and it's really effective as well. But the issue is people are either using chlorine tablets, which don't disperse well. So you'll turn on your tap and you'll have some water which is really heavily chlorinated and other glasses of water that doesn't have chlorine at all. So it's not very reliable. And then on the other end of the spectrum, the technology that is available currently for chlorination, automated chlorination, is super expensive. So I remember when I was working in South Sudan, I ordered some chlorination technology and it cost $1,000. And that was like the average annual income of an entire family in South Sudan. So it just seemed ridiculous. And really, I wanted to develop a technology with the team to fill the gap. So we wanted to make something that was, you know, affordable for the 127 million households across the world, where people just can't turn on the tap and feel confident the water is safe to drink. And I think what's really interesting about this is it really is still quite a global problem. And I was first working in Mexico when I saw it. And then I went to Africa and I saw, oh, this is exactly the same. I went to India and, you know, it's the same problem everywhere. The technology bit of pictures is always really boring, so I skim over that. But essentially what we've got is we've got a product which is affordable, but also it's really easy to use. And I think as an engineer, for me, this was super, super important to design something that you can minimize the human error associated with it. So you want to be able to click it in, install it, and you know, you want it to work, kind of thing. So in the last couple of years, we've been designing the technology in Cambridge. So we spun out the University of Cambridge Engineering Department, but it was really important for us to create quite an innovative business model. And again, this idea of just selling technology to end users, especially with water technology, I think there's been quite a lot of problems with technology falling into disrepair, because it can, you know, sometimes be a bit complicated, or you know, you don't have the parts to replace certain bits that fail of technology. So we wanted to overcome that issue around design. But we also wanted to create a business model which meant that there were plumbers and technicians in the field where we were operating who were available to install the technology and to check on it once every so often, check on the chlorine levels, just to ensure that was really accurate. So what we did is we ran some field trials in Uganda, and we ran some pilot studies with the Mbarara Plumbers Association. And we use this process to, you know, update the design of our technology. We use like human-centered design, which I think is just essential for any technology design if the engineers designing the technology live in a different country from the users. And so what our model looks like is we design our chlorine doser here, and then we sell it to local technicians. We're currently working in Uganda. And they get a 2-day training on how, you know, understanding chlorination, how to use the technology. They get a certification, and then they're free to go on and install and sell the technology to people in their communities. So it's really for households, for schools, for hospitals. And this is based on the idea that people in the community, they know the water needs of their community far better than we can as engineers in Cambridge. And we really wanted to focus on that kind of model.
1 minute, please, Francesca.
And so I just wanted to wrap up by talking about the partnerships. So for us now, we've been working in Uganda, and this model of partnering with local technicians really works. And not only does it work from a technology perspective, it also works from a socio-economic development perspective, because it means that some of the revenues and the profits from the sale of the technology actually stay in the community where we're working. It's a very, very fun way to work, because you get to work in lots of collaborations. So I just wanted to give a call if there was anyone here who's interested in partnering for field trials or for product implementation anywhere across the world, then we're always open to new partnerships, and we're really excited about our work in Uganda, and hopefully we'll be expanding outside of Uganda in the next 1 or 2 years with our technology. So yeah, thank you very much for listening.
Francesca, thank you very much. That's inspiring, and in some ways a simple solution, if I can call it that, but obviously engineered, but providing what is needed for Africa in that case. Maybe worth having a chat with Jessica if you haven't already, in consideration of your South American work.
Yeah.
Right, let's keep moving. A couple more to go, a couple more elevator pitches to go. Next we have David Hollander, who's the Chief Executive of one of our longest standing members, actually, Propelair. And David, you're going to go back to a topic we've already touched on earlier with a couple of the initial presentations, the toilets reinvented, saving water one flush at a time. David.
Can you see my slide? I can't even hear you now.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I muted myself too quickly. Off you go, David. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. So we've already talked toilets issue today. Now it's time to talk toilets. You've heard many statistics, but one I want to emphasize is the World Health Organization has estimated that right now 50% of people are living in water-stressed areas, which includes many developed nations, as we've already heard today, like the UK. And in this environment, we think it's just criminal, simply criminal, to flush 9 litres of drinking water down the drain. But it's only a few litres of water each flush, so is that really a problem? Well, yes, it is. In the UK, can you see my second slide? Because I'm afraid I can see nothing. Can you just confirm that?
It's not moved yet, no.
Does that help?
No. Are you using your
I've tried everything.
Oriane, can you intervene?
Hi, sorry. If you click on the slide, yeah, if you click here, it should be fine. Yeah.
Oh, that's moved.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that, but I'll try and speed up. Look, the problem is that even in the UK, we're now using 141 litres of water a day, up from 85 in 1960. 35 litres of that 141 litres is flushed down the toilet. And we have a perennial problem with leaky loos. 400 million litres are lost, which means that 25% of all the water that we consume as individuals is flushing down the toilet. So as Professor Soares said, wastewater has resources, but you can have too much of a good thing. And our solution, in what I hope you can now see is my third slide, Propelair addresses this. We're using air to reduce water use by some 84%. And we also use alternatives to conventional valves to eliminate leaky loos. We design and manufacture the world's lowest water flush toilet. Using both air and water, we're able to reduce the water consumption to just 1.5 litres of flush, replacing 6 litres of water with 120 litres of air in commercial outlets such as restaurants, universities, offices, shopping centres, service stations and hospitals. And not only do we save water, but we save carbon because we don't use as much energy creating and cleaning the water. And in off-grid situations, we're able to reduce the emptying of tanks and cesspools. So not only do we save water and carbon, but our unique technology improves hygiene. I've got to mention this. We reduce the number of aerosolized germs because as you have to put the lid down before you flush, aerosolized germs, including COVID-19, are virtually eliminated from the air you breathe. We don't want to just stick in the UK, though. We're trying to move to other territories. Let's face it, when the authors wrote the UN's sustainability goal, they weren't worrying about restaurants and universities, offices, shopping centres, service stations and hospitals. They were worrying about the 2.2 billion people that don't have safely managed drinking water, or the 4.2 billion people that lack safely managed sanitation. But in those same countries, Restaurants, universities, office centres, service stations and hospitals are flushing 6 to 9 litres of water down into the drain. So that's why we've moved into other parts of the world which are more water stressed. I mean, one fast food chain I know even ships a tanker of water up the motorway to a city where they simply allow their customers to flush that drinking water they've shipped up the motorway to be flushed down the drain. So that's why Propelair, its 1.5 litre flush is now available in South Africa and the Gulf very soon. And we're trying to take our resources globally. And just to finish off, how can you help? Well, if you know of any businesses or institutions that want to save water, carbon and improve hygiene, then please use my email and let me know. I'll be very happy to talk to them and talk with them about how we can reduce water consumption one flush at a time. Thanks very much for your time, and look forward to talking to you later.
David, that's terrific. Thank you very much indeed. You're obviously doing a good job, because I went down to Grosvenor, the property company in central London, a few months ago. I was giving a presentation at lunchtime to the sort of entire office staff. One of my slides in the PowerPoint includes your toilet. And I thought it would be great to tell them about this. And I thought I'd just go to the gents beforehand. I went to the gents and you'd already installed them. So you're doing a great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well spotted.
Right. Last but by no means least, we're going to move on to a company which isn't a water solutions provider per se. It's a normal company. It's a printing company. But they've changed tremendously how they operate to make themselves more sustainable. So I'm pleased to introduce Gareth Dinnage, who's the managing director at Seacourt, a printing company. Is going to take us on a journey from water-intensive polluter to a company making a positive impact. Gareth, 5 minutes, over to you.
Yeah, good morning, Martin. Can you hear me okay? I'm not sharing my screen, so hopefully you can hear me and see me okay.
Yes, we can now. You were just a little bit faint to begin with, but we can hear you now. Thank you.
Great. So I'm Gareth. I'm the MD of a company called Seacourt. We're a founding member of Oxfordshire Greentech, and as Martin said, we're coming at it slightly different from the rest of the guys we've heard from. We're a printing company. You think, what absolute relevance is that to SDG 6? Well, we've heard that 75% of water in the UK is actually industrial. Printing industry is a huge user of water, both in the printing process and also in the material streams, which is maybe surprising. So the way it works is conventional printing uses huge amounts of water. It's needed to make the printing process work. We figured out in the mid-90s that actually we could printing without any water. So we switched to a waterless printing process, and we've basically have now a process where we don't use any water. That means we don't use any chemicals. We've reduced our VOC emissions by 99%. The wastewater we would have used doesn't need to be cleaned, and therefore that's making a huge CO2 reduction along the line. Also, with recycled papers, it takes 26,000 litres of water less to produce a tonne of paper than it does virgin paper. So by specifying recycled papers, and which we use hundreds of tonnes a year, we are literally, with a combination of the two, saving millions and millions of litres of water a year. That's kind of all I've got to say on it, because I'm conscious of time, and I've figured that I would just play catch up a little bit and give you a highlight. And if anyone wants to have more detail on this subject and talk about this in greater detail, then obviously check me in the breakout rooms in a minute.
Okay, Gareth, thank you very much, and also for being time conscious for us. That's terrific. I mean, I will just say, I know that you've won a number of awards in terms of your credentials, in terms of becoming a more sustainable company. And just even from our own perspective as Cambridge Cleantech, we like to walk the walk as well as talk the talk. So we have an environmental procurement policy. So the printing that we do have undertaken, and things like this pop-up screen behind me, we now ask Gareth and his team at Seacourt to undertake that on our behalf because of his environmental credentials, and that makes us greener as a company in our own right. So it's all about helping each other, and all part of that circular economy to an extent as well that we're hearing about earlier.